While verbal testimony in a trial process is crucial to sensitize the jurors on what kind of person the defendant is, and while in certain cases this can be based on to make a conviction, there are several guidelines that must be followed in order to draw any legal conclusions and convict someone based on such storylines only told by word of mouth, and without any tangible evidence presented as proof. The only reason the court will take these storylines as truth is because they are set under oath, and this means that any lie told during the narration of these stories is supposed to cost the storyteller her entire testimony, causing them to miss a go and the defendant immediately acquitted of the related charges. In the case against R. Kelly, while the government presented as many as 40 prosecution witnesses with the hope that the excessive number of bad acts mentioned at trial would cause the jury to prejudice R. Kelly, which eventually happened, they did not keep a clean sheet when it came to these multiple accusers remaining truthful with their statements. But while many were found to have lied under oath even in the years before, their testimonies have since been upheld and the defendant charged for the alleged acts. Also important to note, some of the government witnesses already had a history of lying under oath from previous cases, including the one against R. Kelly back in 2008. If the only point of reference to make a judgment was these witness testimonies and some of the storytellers were found to have lied under oath not once but numerous times, why then would the court proceed to make the judgment that suggested R. Kelly was guilty on all counts? As opposed to charging these untruthful witnesses for perjury and sending them off to prison on 5-year sentences, the court instead preferred to invest their quality time in prejudicing R. Kelly and wrongfully convicting him basing on their word of mouth. When you rely on witness testimonies as proof, they should be accurate and indeed leak proof. That is the prerequisite. By presenting fake witnesses therefore who clearly lied and had histories of lying under oath, we are right to say the government did not meet their burden of proof in describing the kind of person R. Kelly is, and proving whether he did commit the crimes alleged. Having realized this, the court was supposed to dismiss the case and send R. Kelly back home, but because all the court was looking forward to was a convicted and destroyed R&B king, they missed the opportunity to do what was legally expected of them. Meanwhile, reading through the government's request to the Brooklyn federal Judge Ann Donnelly for a sentence 25 years and beyond, you will realize that R. Kelly was being tried for his life like living is a crime in itself. Only the stories that were told by these accusers were based on, and nowhere does the government refer to any sort of evidence except video clips which are inadmissible in court as they all had broken chains of custody. Remember to use any video evidence in court, the source must be determined and proved. When a person who claims to have received the tape evidence and delivered it to the feds refuses to testify in court to back up their claims with testimony, and they on top of that confess to have pre-edited clips before handing over the tapes, not forgetting their failure to disclose from whom they received this so-called video evidence, it all remains questionable. We would therefore understand the government if they had not presented fake and untruthful witnesses such as Lisa Van Allen and the rest who told different stories each time they spoke about their experiences with R. Kelly. Witnesses whose stories have been challenged and proven to have lied before court not once but numerous times, and witnesses who possessed fake IDs provided to them by their parents to deceive R. Kelly they were of consenting age when they weren't. For a trial whose backbone is witness testimonies and not tangible evidence, these discoveries of challengeable storylines is indeed the legal deal breaker and should have seen not only their immunities revoked, but their cases dismissed and defendant duly acquitted. Also important to note, the government managed to drive Judge Ann Donnelly into making a wrongful conviction by supplying excessive testimony than was acceptable, in a move that saw them present up to 40 different witnesses narrating stories of bad acts that were not relevant to the case and that were left uncharged, and yet it's basing on these same uncharged events that they demanded 25 years as the minimum sentence. When you read the pre-sentencing submission by government, strong reference is made to all uncharged events that were not even backed up with evidence to seek the hefty sentence they were eventually granted. This is not acceptable by law as it's the usual root cause of prejudice. We have actually seen the Supreme Court address the move to present multiple uncharged bad acts in a past case as an unacceptable act of prejudice. If the U.S. law is consistent therefore and the court system fair, it shouldn't even take a day of deliberations for the Supreme Court to throw out the case against R. Kelly for prejudice. And this is when the government will regret why it focused on presenting stories as compared to real tangible evidence which would have made their case substantial. According to Karen, It's actually a very annoying experience reading through the pre-sentencing submission by government, where the judge was asked to issue any sentence north of 25 years basing on the events that were described by the 40 accusers and co-accusers. While reading this document, you will notice the government was intentionally using detailed and very descriptive words when recalling sexual encounters alleged to have happened between him and these women, yet the only important part was justifying their underage claims because whether the women were young or adults, which we know most of them were, any such descriptions of encounters in detail would still sound disturbing. R. Kelly's alleged crime was never in the way he did it with any woman he may have been with throughout his life, but in the claim they were not yet of age, which the government failed to prove with regard to the witnesses against whose testimonies he was charged. The only case where they almost achieved this was that of Azriel, who they claim was 17 and a half when the two met, but her possession of a valid ID that said she was 18 disqualifies the government claims. According to Milton, I am not sure how the court would allow the government to describe these encounters with such detail as if the jurors were attending a 6 training session as opposed to a trial, instead of focusing on proving their allegations that these women were underage and that R. Kelly committed real crimes which they failed at miserably. Putting all this aside, the confidence that saw government bring renowned non-credible witnesses such as Lisa Van Allen and her colleagues to the stand to testify against R. Kelly is very disturbing. This alone should have seen the judge disqualify these witnesses and drop the charges immediately. How can the court trust that perpetual renowned liars can speak the truth in court only because they have taken oath which they even have history of violating? If Lisa managed to lie on R. Kelly under oath back in 2008, why would the government think she wasn't going to do just the same in 2022? According to McAnthony, we have seen prejudice, but the level at which R. Kelly received his dose was exceptional and will live to dominate the headlines of wrongful convictions for the years to come. We may have seen many people accused and convicted as a result of hearsay, and this was so bad, but what was done to R. Kelly to the extent of presenting witnesses who belonged to jail but were instead moving freely to testify against him was on another level of prejudicial tendencies. Just what happened to witness credibility? Is it anything the U.S. court still considers important? Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.